Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. I'm Lil, and today we are going to be taking everything that we've talked about in the previous 30 plus episodes, and I'm just going to bundle it all up for you so that you can have the important things to focus on when it comes to creating your formula for feeling your best. Now, in past episodes, we definitely talked about each of these things in more in-depth ways, or maybe we even talked about many of them in certain episodes, but today I'm just going to put it all in one place so that you can hopefully take some notes or come back to this episode later or look through the show notes to just remind yourself what really matters and what to focus on when you are truly ready to make those changes that you've been talking about for so long. Now, I know that you listen to this podcast because you want to educate yourself. You are looking for that hack, that one thing that's going to change everything for you. And I'm here to tell you that it isn't that one thing, that it's actually these 7 things that I'm going to talk to you about, what I consider to be the 7 core habits for success that I encourage my clients to focus on, that I teach them how all of these things work together and help them create a strategy for success in their own lives. And you might be someone who prefers to DIY it and just get the information and try to figure it out on your own. But if you're someone who has just consistently struggled, then I really encourage you to hire an expert, whether it is me or someone else that you connect to and feel could really help you. You can basically use an expert to fast track your own success, because as a coach, we are trained to see those gaps where you aren't seeing it. We can shine a light on those places where you have your blind spots that you, for whatever reason, maybe you're unwilling or unable to see these spots, that once you address these issues and start working on improving them, that everything could change for you. So if you've been struggling and you've been thinking just for months or maybe even years that something needs to change and you are just so ready to feel better, feel your best, then reach out, schedule a 15-minute call with me, and we can see if my coaching is the right fit for you. Or like I said, reach out to someone that you feel could truly help you in a realistic and sustainable way. But let's stay away from the people trying to sell you a crock of crap and push fad diets and pseudoscience on you. And what I'm going to tell you to focus on in today's episode is really what matters when it comes to building sustainable results, because it's never that one diet hack or that one workout plan that's going to change things for you. It's what I always say on here. It's about creating your formula for you feeling your best. And that is not a cookie cutter approach. And so many programs out there are telling you they're going to change your life if you just follow this 6-week shred plan. Then boom, everything is going to be so much easier for you because look, it worked for these people in our before and after photos. And if you haven't listened to my episode on before and after photos, I definitely recommend listening to that, because before and after photos are a bunch of bull crap most of the time. And as I have stated, I will not be sharing before and after photos on my social media or on my website or anything until my clients have sustained their results for a year or more, because most before and after photos, the after photos are very temporary. So all right, let me get off my little soapbox there and let's move on to the ultimate formula for feeling your best and what you should be focusing on for these 7 core habits. Now, number 1, I talk about this all the time, so let's just start with your food. Tracking your food using a food scale and just looking at the food that you're eating in a scientific way for a little bit to understand what the heck you're putting in your body, how that looks compared to what ideally you should be eating. The reason why a macro plan is so important, where you're fueling your body with the right protein, carbs, and fats, is because your body needs a certain amount of protein to build and sustain muscle. Your body needs a certain amount of carbs to create and sustain energy in your body and to store energy. And your body needs fat for lots of things, but a really important one is hormones and making sure that those hormone messaging signals are not being all messed up by if you don't eat enough fats, then you can really mess up your hormone signaling system. Or if you eat too much fat, then that's also going to lead to hormone issues. So proteins, fats, and carbs do so much more than just provide your body with calories. They all have a specific role in your body, and getting the right amounts of them helps your body function in an optimal way. And then you also want to be making sure that you're eating a well-rounded diet with, leafy greens, different colored fruits and veggies, and also getting fatty acids in. And there's so many important vitamins and minerals that you should be including in your diet. And following the right macro plan is going to help you do that. So if you, number 1, don't know what a balanced diet that nourishes your body properly looks like, it can be life-changing to actually finally understand what that looks like. Number 2, tracking your food and being honest about it by weighing out your food most of the time and really getting an idea of what you're actually eating is going to help you understand why you've been gaining weight, or maybe why you've been losing weight, or why you've been maintaining your weight but not able to lose weight. Just be brave and be willing to actually be honest about what you're eating. So tracking your food and getting honest about that, number 1. This is a habit that is going to change everything for you. All right, number 2, tracking your weight. And I have a whole episode on the scale. But bottom line, if you're struggling to track your weight and you're struggling to track your food, then you have some underlying issue with your relationship with food and the scale. And that really needs to be addressed, because in a rational, objective world, there's no reason that you should fear or have negative feelings about those two things. And if you do, you need to be willing to get uncomfortable and address them. It might require you to reach out for some mental health help to get over those issues, but you will know you have overcome those issues when you're willing to get honest about tracking your food and tracking your weight. And if you're just a regular person like me that just has this baggage of all this diet culture and nonsense that we've been told over the past, 3 to 4 decades, then sometimes it's just really having a talk with yourself and saying, get over it. Go through the discomfort of realizing that those thoughts and beliefs that you have, it's time to get rid of them, and just be willing to look at this like a science experiment. So just having a honest talk with yourself and saying, get over it, move on, put your big girl pants on, and let's figure this out. That's exactly what I did. I didn't require, any extra support or anything like that. But if you do have underlying issues with an eating disorder or perhaps some mental health issues, then you might need a little boost to get to that point. But here's my thing. If you are unable to do that, then it's going to be really hard for you to create a sustainable, healthy way of fueling your body, having a daily exercise activity plan, and all of those things. It's never going to come together for you until you're willing to work on your relationship with food, your body, and the scale. And that's just unfortunately the way it is. So if you're trying to skip over those things and just lose weight and just get the end result that you want without doing that hard work of building your relationship with those three things, the food, the scale, and your body, then it's just going to be so hard for you and you're just constantly going to be chasing your tail. All right, so number 1 was tracking your food. Number 2 is tracking your weight. Number 3, learning how to prioritize protein and fiber. And this is essential because number 1, most of you are not eating enough protein and almost all of you are not eating enough fiber. And this is something that studies have shown, especially in the United States. We are not eating enough fiber as a society. And until you start tracking your food, it is wild to me that people start on these like gut health programs and they're not even tracking how much fiber they're eating. And fiber is essential for a healthy gut and healthy digestion. So if someone is trying to provide you with solutions on your quote unquote gut health and they're not asking you how much fiber you're actually eating, then it's just nonsense. So the other thing is as you're increasing your fiber and starting to reach that daily goal of somewhere between 25 and 40 grams of fiber per day, you also have to be increasing your water. And it's not a great idea to all of a sudden just start eating 40 grams of fiber in one day, because then you could create some constipation issues. But getting knowledgeable about how much protein you're eating, how much fiber you're eating is going to be so beneficial to you for your overall long-term health. There's so many health benefits of eating adequate fiber, and also eating adequate protein helps you build and maintain muscle, which is so important as we age. So if you're following diet plans where you don't know how much you're actually eating, your protein, you should be eating between 0.8 to 1 gram per pound. Sorry, I get a little math doesn't work in my head, but it's 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Does that make sense? So if you're eating 1 gram per pound and you weighed 150 pounds, you would want to be eating 150 grams of protein per day. But anywhere from 120 grams to 150 grams per day would totally be adequate. And of course, you would want to be having your strength training workouts to stimulate that muscle protein synthesis, maintain your muscle, build muscle, those things. So protein and fiber, learn to love those 2 pieces of your diet, and it will help you so much in the long run. Also, staying full, satiated between meals. Both protein and fiber are excellent ways to make sure you're not hungry an hour after you eat. So if you're finding yourself hungry an hour after you eat, you're probably not eating big enough meals and you're probably not eating enough protein and fiber with each meal. All right, next let's talk about your activity level. That means strength training 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week and getting 8,000 to 10,000 steps in per day. Now, why do you want to do this? Number 1, strength training not going to go too much into detail because we've talked about this more in depth, but you need to be strength training. You need to be intentionally strength training. It is going to have such a profound effect on your long-term health and wellness and being able to enjoy those later years. It makes you look good. And also, if you can build a stronger body that weighs a little bit more, that is lean, you still get to eat more food at maintenance. So it's a win-win there. But it takes time. It takes months, years to actually build muscle and go in the direction of building that quote unquote dream body that you're looking for. So you have to understand it takes time. It's not an overnight process, and you have to be willing to put in the work without instant results, but it is so worth it. And building muscle is going to make you look better, feel better, and have so many overall health benefits. Now, in addition to strength training, you also want to be getting your steps in and being active. I personally aim for anywhere between 8 to 10,000 steps to make sure that I'm exerting enough extra energy in my day to balance out how much food I'm eating, making sure that I'm keeping my cardiovascular health in check. I do aim to do zone 2 cardio during my walks, which is like a brisk walk where you're getting a little bit out of breath. And overall, I don't really do much cardio here and there. I might do a bar blend workout or a full body dumbbell cardio workout, but I don't focus my workouts on cardio. I hate doing cardio workouts. I would rather get my cardio in again by brisk walks. Sometimes I could do the elliptical, nothing too crazy there. But if you are very sedentary, number one, you are making it really easy for your body to gain fat, because if you're sitting around, your body doesn't need a whole lot of calories on top of just, keeping itself alive. And it's very easy to eat more calories than your body needs if you are sedentary. Again, not so great for your cardiovascular health. So get up, get moving, aim to start moving more. Studies have shown that anything over 5,000 steps per day is beneficial for cardiovascular health. And from everything that I've researched, 8 to 10,000 steps a day is really helpful if you are looking for fat loss and really wanting to, consider yourself an active person. Then 8 to 10,000 steps per day is ideal. So I'm just going to keep summarizing here. We want to track our food, track our weight, prioritize protein and fiber, strength train 2 to 5 days per week, and get 8,000 steps in per day. And when it comes to, I didn't say this, but when it comes to your strength training, it does matter kind of how you split those workouts up, and you really want to do your research and make sure that you're following a plan that is going to adequately train each part of your body or muscle group. I personally started doing Carolyn Gervin on YouTube. Now, this is not sponsored. She doesn't know I'm telling you that her stuff is awesome, but I started with her iron program last September, October, and just absolutely fell in love with her style. She knows what she's doing, and she now has an app, and I do her Beast Mode program on the app. But she also has a beginner program for people who are new to strength training. So I would definitely look into that. I will make sure that my podcast editor goes and puts the link to her stuff in the show notes. So definitely, if you have been listening to me and you want to start strength training, but you're not really sure where to begin, and you don't want to go to a gym, you don't want people looking at you, then I would definitely recommend looking into Carolyn Gervin. Her iron program is where I started, and I saw results doing that program and increase my strength, especially seeing her lift really heavy. She's there using like 30 pounds for overhead presses when previously the trainers I had followed were using like 10. So she's really inspiring, and she knows exactly what she's doing and creates incredible programs. So just wanted to share that. And also her workouts on YouTube are totally free, but her app does, it costs, I think, $99 a year, which was a no-brainer for me, and I invested in it. All right, so let's move on. Our next thing we're going to talk about is sleep. and really getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, which I know can be a struggle, but it is going to be such an important part of your formula. And we talked about this in last week's episode where we talked about, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're just making everything harder on yourself. So making sure you're getting enough sleep, invest some time and energy in seeing how you can improve your sleep. If it's something that's really bothering you, and you're really struggling with, it's going to change everything for you. All right, now you knew I was going to have to say this somewhere, but staying hydrated, drink your water. Please, please drink your water. And I don't tell people that you have to do any crazy math or anything like that. As a nurse, especially as a labor and delivery nurse, one of the first things we would check when someone came in was, are they hydrated? And you could tell real easy as soon as they peed in that cup whether or not they were hydrated. And if your pee is dark and it's very yellow, then you're probably not very well hydrated. But if it's nice and clear, a light yellow, then you're probably good. So make sure that you are drinking enough water so that your pee is very, very light and that you are not thirsty all the time. If you're finding yourself, later in the day, after lunch, in the evening, chugging water because you've just dehydrated yourself so much during the day, then you got to intentionally start drinking more water earlier in the day, because then you can get in this vicious cycle where you're drinking too much water at night and having to get up and pee all the time. So stay hydrated. And then finally, we also talked about this one on last week's episode, but limiting or eliminating alcohol. I'm going to say it again. Really making alcohol a very small piece of the calories that you're consuming on a weekly basis or a monthly basis is just really a great way to feel your best. Whether you're drinking to the point of, I can't even imagine having a hangover, to be honest. It's been years since I've had a hangover. But when my husband and I go out to our favorite restaurant and they have this delicious red wine that I love, we will partake and we will have our red wine. And even just having 2 glasses or 3 glasses, I wake up the next day and I'm thinking, oh my God, this was not the best idea, because I just don't feel good. And honestly, if you can take some time away from alcohol and just see how that affects your sleep, how that affects your energy level, how that affects your food choices, then you might see that that is something that you really want to limit or, pretty much eliminate from your overall diet. And so this is it. These are those 7 core habits of tracking your food, tracking your weight, prioritizing your protein and fiber, getting 2, 3, 4, 5 strength training workouts in per week. And I'll also say that I've gone from working out 6 days a week to now I strength train 4 days a week. And it is such a sweet spot. I am loving it. I am loving working out 4 days a week. It's something I just started doing with this new Beast Mode program that I'm doing, because it has 4 strength training days and 1 HIIT day. And I'm not doing HIIT. I'm sorry, but I'm not. Between having a broken ankle and having arthritis in my back, HIIT is just a nightmare for me. So I will not be doing that. And as soon as I started building this 4-day-a-week schedule, oh my God, it's great. It's so flexible, and giving yourself time to recover, giving your body time to build that muscle. My results are incredible and I just feel so strong and I love it. So don't think that you have to be working out 5, 6, 7 days a week to get results, and you're going to be able to fit it into your schedule so much easier if you're choosing, 3 or 4 days a week to do that strength training. Getting 8 to 10,000 steps in per day, it can be hard, especially if you have an office job. I think I've shared it before. My husband, when he started tracking all the things, he let me be, he was my guinea pig. When I very first started, he said, help me lose weight, help me get in shape. Let me, show me what to do. And I got him an Apple Watch for Christmas. And the first day he went back to work after, being home for Christmas break, he said, I cannot believe how much easier it is to get my steps in when I go into the office, because all those little steps add up. And if you work from home and you're sitting at a desk a day, even if you're standing at a desk, you need to move, you need to walk, get out of your house, do stuff like that. And it will change everything for you to start getting that activity level in. Get your sleep, 7 to 8 hours. Drink your water, make sure that your pee is nice and clear, and limit or eliminate alcohol. And that is the ultimate formula for feeling your best. And like I said, using a coach, use me to help you streamline, build this, make it easy for you. And that's what I'm here for. That's why I have this podcast. So those of you that want to do it yourself can start working on things. But if you're struggling and you want to skip ahead and you want to fast track your results, then work with me and we build these 7 core habits. And then we go into that fat loss phase when you are ready, with the goal of you never, ever having to go on a diet again. I will never be going on a diet ever again. This is it. This is how I live. And it's just the best feeling in the world, and that is what I want for you. All right, thank you so much for listening. This was a bit of a shorter episode today, but I hope that you can start plugging away at your ultimate formula for feeling your best. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at Macros with Lil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them a link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.